We know how much you guys like to get an early start on your Christmas cards, so that's why we always do a Christmas in July. And today we're going to put together our mistletoe card, and you'll be pleasantly surprised at how few pieces it contains and how quickly it goes together, which is great so that you can get all of your cards done in a short period of time. These cards are not complex, they're very classic. Classic motifs, classic looks, classic colors, and again, they go together very easily. So let's just jump right in and take a look at what we have here. Now, here is the base of the card. We've included two versions of the actual base. One without any score marks so that you can actually just use a scoring tool, one of those manual scoring tools, or what I actually did was I just folded it manually. I put it on my board here and used a ruler to get a straight line. And instead of going out and paying a bunch of money for a scoring tool, I took the point of my Silhouette Pick-Me-Up tool, used a ruler, and just used that to kind of create a little crease, and then it more easily creased for me so you don't have those unsightly score marks. But we also have included the one with the score marks in case you don't have that tool and you want to use your machine to do that. So here is our base, and we're going to take this fretwork in gold and glue it right to the front of the card here. So I can go ahead and get that done. Let me make sure that my glue is flowing nicely, and it is. And I'm going to go ahead and do little dots all throughout this fretwork here where possible. And then also, I guess what I meant was little beads. Kind of gotten the hang of this glue bottle so well that you can get little beads to come out by going at a certain speed and applying a certain pressure. Now that typically happens more often with a glue bottle that I've been using for a little bit, for a half day or so. So don't worry about trying to get the glue into every little nook and cranny. That's really not going to be possible because it's going to start to set, and there's no way you could do that. With complex designs like this, it may actually be a good idea to use a spray adhesive. I don't like to use those because they kind of stink and they tend to give me headaches. So what you want to do is get that lined up nicely and evenly. Make sure you've got a nice even border going all the way around and that it's within the confines of the actual card base. You might have to kind of nudge it just a tad. And I think I did a good job there. So I'm going to press that down and get it to stick. So we've got a beautiful gold foil here, and this almost looks like a solid core. I don't think it is, but it is thinner than some of the gold foil we've used before, and it's a lot easier to work with. Some of that gold foil is very stiff, and this, I guess it's almost like a textured gold foil. Some of the other stuff we've used is almost like a mirror finish, which is a little thicker and harder to work with. Okay, so that's that. Now also, we've included a print-to-cut file. If you're not familiar with print-to-cut, I'm going to be making a series of videos for this because I learned a few things today. And yeah, so I think it's probably something that we should put together. This is the print-and-cut version. This is the basic version. You can stamp on this or write on this, and the cool thing is that the message is going to show through nicely through this little window once we get everything glued into place. I'm going to do that last. But for now, what we're going to do is assemble the little mistletoe element. Okay, so I've got a gold piece. That's going to go on the bottom. Then I've got this piece, which I hit with kind of like a greenish, bluish ink. Okay, and a lot of you have already seen me do inking. And a lot of you already ink yourselves. Well, not yourselves, but you know what I mean. So we're going to glue this piece down onto the gold portion. So let's get that all in place here. Okay. And just drop that right on there. Make sure you get it nice and lined up. Oops. There we go. And that those little bits of gold showing through are really pretty. So you'll see just how, and you can probably tell based on how quick the video is or how short the video is, just how little time is involved in putting this thing together. So you're gonna definitely be able to whip up a dozen or 2 dozen of these in hopefully a few days, and then you can say that my cards are done. And these are very, very traditional, classic design. Yeah, that's kind of my style. I don't mind a little of the contemporary modern stuff, but when I decorate my home, it's very traditional for Christmas. Okay, so we'll get that piece on there. Okay. All right. Next, we just need to construct our little bow. So we're going to take the pattern, which is the full piece here, and we're going to glue this guy right to that. So let's get our glue on the back of this. Let's not overdo it. Okay, press that down. And then what we have here are little accent pieces here, so it kind of makes it look dimensional. You want to make sure that you get that lined up precisely, and you know what might actually help? It may actually help to glue this centerpiece first and then butt the other pieces up against it, kind of like a little puzzle, because we do have a little spot for this little tic-tac shape right in the center. So make sure that you get it nice and centered. Okay, that looks good. And then we can take this shape here, and you can see how that fits nice and snug up against that little middle part. So let's do that. Let's get that glued down. And I'm just kind of pushing it up against that piece and then aligning it with the rest of the bow. And I did hit this with some ink as well, just to kind of give it a little dimension. There we go. That looks cute. And one more little piece here for the other side. That should work. Perfect. Okay, cute little dimensional bow. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the bow and we're going to glue it to the mistletoe here. Okay, and actually before we do that, I'm going to grab my dowel and I'm just going to fold that or train it out a little bit just so that it has a little bit of dimension. And then you're going to take and glue this to the little stem of our mistletoe here, roughly about, I'd say about there. Okay, so just pop a little bit of glue on the back of this piece here. That might have been a little too much. That should be fine though. And just glue that down. Make sure you get that nice and centered, nice and aligned. And just squeeze. There we go. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually pop dot this to the front of the card. I'm going to use foam squares. So we're going to grab some foam squares and put them on the actual bow itself. And then we want to align it roughly about, let's take a look here, kind of like that. Okay, so that there's a little bit of gap between the top of the stem and this little this little ball here. Okay, and I'd say that looks about right there. So just kind of get an idea of where you're going to want to put your little foam squares. I think that I'm going to put one, well, you can definitely put them up here by the bow, and then probably one in this little area here, and then in this little area here. So that's that. Let's get that in place real quick. So I'll flip that over, get my foam squares out, and let me just double check this really quick here. Okay, I'm going to flip this open so I can see it from the back. And okay. All right, so definitely going to get some foam squares on the main parts of our bow. Okay, and then let's see here again. We can definitely go right in the center here. So kind of give it like a face. Okay, and then let's check that one more time here. Make sure that looks good. And I think probably, okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to put one. Let's see that again. Okay, I'm going to put one there as well, so that fits pretty well. It should be disguised pretty nice. And then also this little section here that has these little 3 mistletoe pieces, probably one right about here. Okay, and that should keep everything in place nicely for us. And then let's just peel. Where's my X-Acto? All right, so I'm peeling the sticky back off of these little foam squares. And I don't know where my X-Acto knife went. All right, found my X-Acto, so we can pull these off a little more efficiently. And again, when we place this down, I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. Try to make sure that you get it nice and centered. And right about there. Make sure you've got it. There we go. And let's take a look here. Oops. So this little foam square here is not going to work. It's kind of showing through. I'm going to peel that off. So FYI, and this is why I do these tutorials, probably going to put one, maybe a half of one. And you can actually, if you have these little foam squares, you can take scissors and literally slice them in half with your scissors. Just make sure you got a nice sharp pair of scissors. Okay, and then I can just lift this up and pop that under. And if you want to use more of these little half pieces, you're obviously welcome to do that. They will hide a little bit better, and you could probably put more on here if you need to. I don't think it's necessary, but it's always an option. Okay, so we've got nice dimension on here, a very classic looking card. And all that's left to do now for the actual card itself is open it up and glue down this little panel here with our little sentiment that's already printed on there. Again, this was a print and cut. I actually did this with my Silhouette because my Cricut can't print on purple or lavender. You have to actually print it on white. So then that means that you have to actually print the whole thing. Well, you have to actually print the color as well on a white piece of paper, and I didn't want to do that. So again, this is optional. If you want to stamp, you can. Just make sure that you do your best to get this piece nice and centered, nice and level, and try to maintain a nice even border all the way around. Okay, let's push that down, get it in place, and then when we're done, a little sentiment. In the case of this print and cut, I mean, yours might be a little bit different, but you got plenty of room to write up here if you want. Obviously, you can write your little message, and then when you close it, the sentiment appears right there in the window beautifully. Okay, so that is the card itself, and that just leaves our coordinating envelope. Now take a look at the final photo of this thing. I'm going to jazz it up with a few little gemstones and rhinestones and then some pearls on the actual mistletoe to kind of jazz it up a little bit more. But let's take a look at our envelope. Got 3 pieces here. And what we're going to do is first off begin by folding everything at the score marks. Okay. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it right to this, and there's going to be a little bit of a lip kind of hanging out. So when you glue this down, make sure that you are not putting glue on this. You want to put glue on the actual flap itself, because otherwise you won't know where to put the glue, because we have all these nice little decorative cutouts here to give the envelope more interest. So you can see how quickly this is going together, and you can get as simple or as complex as you want with this card by jazzing it up with bling or inking or not inking, whatever you want to do. So the best way to do this, I think, is to kind of take this and lift it up a little bit and press the base of this up against the little fold there, and then just make sure it's centered. And then kind of fold it up and then just push it down. And then bring it back one more time just to make sure that you've got it nice and centered, and then it's going to stay for you really nicely. Okay, so that is our flap. And then all we have to do is just kind of connect this to this piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and fold everything at the score marks. Okay, probably take a dowel and flatten that out. And then basically what we're doing is we're just going to glue this right to the little tabs there to complete our envelope. And that's really it. So let's get our glue on these tabs. You want to go very easy on the glue here on the envelope, because for some reason, anytime I make envelopes, I tend to cake on the glue and then it kind of just warps the paper, and I don't like how that looks. So make sure you get a little bit of glue out to the edge as well. Okay, now you could, what I probably should have done was just worked on the bottom tab first to anchor it and then done the sides, because this is kind of a lot of surface area and I can tell that my glue's already drying, but that's okay. So I'm just going to pop this right on here. The tabs are already inside facing the card, and I'm just lining it all up and then just pushing it in and then pressing down. Okay, just be patient while that sets. And that looks pretty darn good. Okay, I don't think I want to put it in just yet because it still might be drying, but it does fit, so I'll try to be very gentle here. And pop that in. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that your friends and family receive this card. If you do make it, we'd love to see your version. So check us out on Facebook, do a search for Dreaming Tree Group at the top there in the search, and post a picture. We'd love to see it. And if you liked this tutorial or loved it, definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. And as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.